That's what I'm talking about. Justin Fields gets his first career win at home in Soldier Field against the Detroit Lions. Bears win 24-14 over the Detroit Lions. And to be honest, I thought this team was going to lose this game because a 9 sacks, 47 net yards, literally the worst offensive game you'll ever see in your entire life, probably. Nothing too big, maybe you think that. But a huge rebound game from the entire team, top to bottom. Let's talk about it. So as I ever so slightly mentioned, Justin Fields is coming off his first start disaster against the Cleveland Browns, who beat the Minnesota Vikings today 14-7 on the road. So, hey, Vikings lost. I'm happy about that. So he's looking for his first career win and his first career touchdown pass. Another thing to mention, this game was commentated by Gus Johnson. Literally the NFL's favorite commentator for some reason. He gets all the attention when he makes a big call, and rightfully so. He's a really good announcer. As someone who's kind of thinking as that as their career path and the dream job, he's someone that I look up to in terms of the excitement part of the commentary job. Other commentators like Doc Emmerich, who's the big guy for the NHL, who has recently just retired, is my commentating idol. As you know, he's got the extreme vocabulary, does very good at describing what's happening on the ice, and is ecstatic when calling goals, especially in playoff overtime situations. Just a fantastic commentator all around. I highly recommend you look up some of his best calls. So we get Gus Johnson to commentate the game. I legit was shocked when I heard that happen, but then I realized, oh wait, Gus Johnson was in Wisconsin yesterday as they got crushed by Michigan. So the game. Let's skip all this. Let's go to the game, right? So immediately I'm sitting here just already about to lose my mind because Matt Nagy or whoever was calling told whoever was out on the field to call a coin toss, elected to receive. Matt Nagy elected to receive the kick. And I was sitting there like, what are you doing? I know you want to see Justin Fields, but let's be real. If the offense performs like they did in the last game, you want and you're going to need that ball in the second half. Obviously, by the end of the game, it didn't really matter at all. So we're going to kind of forget about that kind of decision that made me a little bit antsy before the game first kickoff even happened. But on their opening drive, the Bears do very well in offense. They actually had a very nice drive going, and then all of a sudden they're at midfield. It's a 2nd and 6, and Justin Fields just throws up for Darnell Mooney, and he makes a stellar one-handed catch, and that set the tone for the entire game for Darnell Mooney. He was making unreal catches from unreal throws. Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields was the connection today. He played out of his mind. 125 yards receiving on only 5 receptions. We'll get on to a couple of those other ones later through this game. Needless to say, that catch propelled the Bears to go ahead and punch it into the end zone. David Montgomery punches it in, and the Bears go up 7-0 early. And just before Monty put it in to the end zone, it had officially crossed 2 full games since the Bears offense had scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown on the opening drive against Cincinnati. Did not score for the rest of that game. They had a defensive touchdown from Smith. Obviously did not score a touchdown against the Browns. And they scored here. Bears take the lead 7-0 on the opening drive again in Soldier Field. On the Lions' first drive, Jared Goff has some nice passes. You know, Jared Goff looks very Jared Goff-like. But then the ball gets inside the 10. And I don't know what happens here. It's probably one of the most Lions things to ever happen. I don't know if I've ever seen something like this happen before, but Bilal Nichols is possibly the man who was on the receiving end of the first ever fumbleception. I don't know if that's ever happened. I highly doubt it. But the center throws it. It hits like Goff here, like the side, and it pops up over the offensive line and right into Bilal Nichols' hands. On the score sheet in the stat sheet, it goes off as a fumble recovery, not an interception. But at this point, honestly, he picked it out of the air. It's practically an interception. So the term fumbleception was used by the NFL when talking about that play. And I think it's pretty accurate because we've had the buttception, a couple in these last couple of years. We've had some crazy turnovers, but I don't think we've ever had this. I mean, even Gus Johnson didn't even know what to have. He said, and the Lions, and he had no idea what to say. And frankly, I wouldn't either. That made no sense. It was just crazy. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, Bears football. And I'm like, oh, okay. Turnover inside the 10, let's go. So the Bears lose a yard in their first play from scrimmage on the ensuing drive. And then Justin Fields shows everyone what he can do. And it must have felt so nice for Mooney to catch this ball after having this happen so many times last year where he broke off, was wide open, and if it was either Trubisky or Foles, they overthrew him by a mile. Justin Fields puts this ball in perfectly, and the Bears complete a passing play of 63 yards on the catch and run from Darnell Mooney. He catches this at midfield and had about 40 air yards, which for the Bears is a miracle. So Justin Fields had an absolute bomb of a throw. Darnell Mooney had a great run after the catch, and it was down inside the 30. So Fields grabs a first down on a 3rd and 4, scrambles for it, and the first quarter comes to an end 7-0 Chicago. On the very first play of the second quarter, David Montgomery bulldozes his way, fights for tooth and nail for every inch, a 9-yard touchdown. He's got his second touchdown of the game, and it's 14-0 Chicago because Cairo Santos, who knows, what do you believe it? He's become automatic. Looks like Nagy's having his stresses. Or, well, Nagy actually didn't even play call in this game. He did the smart thing and handed it off to Bill Lazor, who did an amazing job with play calling today. I mean, well, when your offense shows up the Detroit Lions, it's not necessarily like a super impressive accomplishment, but compared to what we saw last game, anything is an improvement, and this was an amazing improvement. On the Lions' next drive, Goff ends up connecting with Quintez Cephas for a 30-plus yard gain, brings it inside the 10, and then they can't punch it in. They go to 4th and goal, and the pass is blocked, and they turn it over again inside the 10-yard line. This time on downs, they're now 0-2 in the red zone. How about the defense? Coming up huge in the red zone. Bears go 3 and out. Big shocker. But that was one of the few bad offensive drives. I mean, they were really inside the 5 at that point. It was just a really bad drive. But you know what? The Lions get it back. Okay. They get back inside the 10-yard line. No joke. 3 possessions. 3 trips to the red zone. Not only the red zone, but inside the 10-yard line. And you know what happens on 3rd and goal in that series? Goff is stripped by Robert Quinn. And then Khalil Mack picks it up. He runs, and then he shovels it to Eddie Jackson, who then runs a little bit more and picks up a couple yards. Even though Khalil Mack's little pitch was a forward pass, an illegal forward pass, it doesn't matter. What an amazing job by the defense to turn the ball over not once, not twice, but 3 times inside their own 10-yard line. They were defending the end zone. No one was getting in the first half at all, and they showed up. Robert Quinn has been destroying all expectations this year so far. We're 4 games in, and he's already done leagues better than what he performed last season. And I could not be happier because we paid this man a lot of money to get to the quarterback. And that's exactly what he's doing this year. He's been lights out. He's been a great supporter for Mac. And now Mac's playing very well as well. So Mac got a sack today as well. Wow. Both of them are playing very well, and it's causing the rest of the defense to play very well. The secondary isn't getting targeted as much. They're having to run it. The secondary is doing the best that they can, but the line, they're winning it in the trenches, and that's where a game is won. Speaking of the trenches, you notice that we completed some actual passes and some actual deep passes, which means Justin Fields had time to throw. He doesn't need as much time to keep it deep than someone like Nick Foles, but he had time to throw, which means the offensive line had a huge step up. A huge step up. They played much, much better than their embarrassment against the Cleveland Browns. And that's partially because you're playing the Lions. That's kind of one thing you have to take away from this game as well. It's like take everything with a grain of salt. It was Detroit. On the Bears' ensuing drive, inside the 2-minute warning, Justin Fields throws, and it's tipped at the line of scrimmage, I think by a linebacker who came up and just kind of batted it. And it was picked off by Amani Oruwariye. I think I got that right. Lions weren't able to do anything. So 14-0 is your halftime score. The Bears are up against the Lions. We come back from halftime, and the Bears defense picks up right where it left off, holding the Lions offense to a 3-and-out. Bears get the ball right back, and on that drive, Justin Fields looked great. First, he completed a pass longer than 10 yards to Allen Robinson, giving him some actual space to work with. That was a big gain. And then 2 plays later, after a 1-yard gain, on 2nd and 9, Justin Fields heaves a perfect ball. And when I say perfect, I mean perfect. Lobs it on the money to Darnell Mooney. Right there. And what a catch by Darnell Mooney. Takes it inside the Lions 5, and Damian Williams punches it in for the score. That's right, the man who iced the game against the 49ers in the Super Bowl 54 for the Chiefs has his first touchdown with the Chicago Bears. Both teams trade off punts after this. The Lions get back, and they get back in the red zone again. It's their 4th trip. They have no points, by the way, and they finally were able to convert on a 3rd-and-goal pass from Goff to Khalif Raymond. And the Lions got on the board on this drive. Unfortunate, but you can't always hold a team to a shutout. It's, as our offense showed last week, it's really hard to shut out a team in the NFL. Even if they get less than 50 net yards, they can still score points. Bears on their ensuing drive get a 25-ish yard burst from David Montgomery. And then right after, Justin Fields has a beauty of a throw and a beauty of a catch by Mr. Allen Robinson for 28 yards. And that was just a beautiful pass. Dan Campbell had the audacity to challenge this call. It was a stupid challenge. You had one look at the replay and you're like, oh, that's easy. It's a catch. Why are you challenging? Dan Campbell, that was an awful challenge call. Cost you a timeout, and who knows if you had that timeout back. Who knows what happened. So the Bears are in the red zone now, and on a 3rd and 7, Fields was flushed and had to throw it away early, looking for Kmet in the end zone. He overthrew him. Cairo Santos comes out to kick a chip shot field goal at this point. Nails it. It's 24-7 at the end of the 3rd quarter. I'm going to be honest with you. That got my superstition radars up a lot. Because if you don't remember, the first time the Bears played the Lions last year in the opener in Detroit, we were down 17 going into the 4th quarter. We won that game because we scored 3 straight touchdown drives. We do not want to have the same thing happen. The score was almost identical, too. It was like 23-6, I think. It was literally almost identical to what it was in this game. But, I mean, hey, we don't even have to settle for a touchdown. We can settle for some field goals to try to increase the lead. I mean, Cairo Santos, with the kick that he just made, has made 32 straight field goals. That is crazy consistent, considering how god-awful our kicking game has been since we let Robbie Gould go what seems like an eternity ago at this point. Seems like he's been with San Francisco for 5 years now, and I think that's pretty close to where it is. In the 4th quarter, Jared Goff tries to escape a sack from Trevis Gibson. He wraps him around the ankle. He tries to hop out of it. It looks like, but he lost his balance and fell down. Trevis Gibson got the sack, but it ended up being useless not necessarily useless. It ended up not really being a drive-ending sack as Goff ended up throwing a 25-yard touchdown to Khalif Raymond again. He had his 2nd of the game. And it's 24-14. They've got 1 touchdown. They need What are they down 10? They need a field goal and a touchdown. On the Bears ensuing drive, on the first play, Montgomery runs for a short gain and stays on the turf. You can tell he's not okay, and he takes his helmet off, and you can see him screaming. He's in pain. Montgomery is injured. I don't know what in the world happened in terms of like what the injury is. I haven't seen an injury report or an update for Montgomery. Hopefully, from what Gus Johnson and Aqib Talib were saying, it looked pretty bad. But Montgomery was being helped off the sideline. Didn't need a cart. He was able to get off on his own power, quote unquote, with help from a trainer. But he didn't need a cart. Didn't have to be carted off. No, none of that. He can still walk, so it looks like it looked worse than it actually is, which is a good thing. On the same drive, on a first down, Fields gets sacked, but not only sacked, he lost the ball. He fumbled it. And this team really wants to make me go nuts because that was in our own territory. If the Lions got on top of that, it was a new game. It was a new game. If they scored a touchdown there, then all of a sudden, hey, it's a one-score game and how much time? There's still plenty of time. They can totally win this game. But Justin Fields comes to save the day as it's loose for a while. It goes back 20 yards. Fields was taken down on a play, by the way. He gets back up and bolts it over there and dives on the ball, recovers on his own fumble. Wow. Justin Fields is showing his grit and toughness and just the drive to stay in this league and to compete. We'll fight for every inch. So Bears punt. It's like 2nd and 34 after he recovers it. So we just forfeit the drive, basically do a couple screen passes, whatever, to Damian Williams. Lions then start driving down the field. They're able to convert a 4th down pass. They get in the red zone again. This is their 5th trip. 1 touchdown on 4 previous possessions, 1 score. Their 5th of the game. And, it got to a point where they had a nice completion to, I think it was Amon St. Brown. That's it. They were 1 yard short. And they go hurry up on this. Like, they didn't even think about kicking the field goal. Dan Campbell had no hesitation to just go for it instead of kick the field goal and make it a 1-possession game. And they throw it, and they, of course, don't complete it. And the Bears take over with under 5 minutes to go, and they're still down 10 when they could have taken the field goal. Dan, what are you doing? Dan Campbell showed that he was not very good in the play calling, and he was not good at managing this game in the second half. Challenging Robinson's call, and then this call, instead of just going for the field goal and just settling for the 3 points, getting, one of the 2 things you need to tie the game. I understand you want to get the touchdown first. That's always the goal. But if you have the opportunity, if you're stuck, take the points, take the field goal, so that if you do end up getting the ball back, you have a chance to go to the end zone. Even if it's a small, slim to none chance, you still have a chance. So the Bears will use Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert, who got his first rushing action today. He's been returning kicks and he's doing a great job. But he gets his first action as a running back, gets a couple carries, and they run out the clock. But not before Pat O'Donnell punts it away with under a minute to go. And then the Lions kind of were like offsides. So it was a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down, and they kneel it away. Marquise Goodwin does a big backflip behind Fields after the final kneel to punctuate Fields' first career win. Bears win after looking like the worst team that has ever been put out on a football field, the worst offense at least, last week. And they're able to get the win in a pretty convincing fashion against the Detroit Lions. David Montgomery, 23 carries, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. His second 100-yard rushing game of the season. Hopefully we'll be able to see more soon as he has a speedy recovery. Damian Williams did pretty good backing him up on 8 carries. He got 55 yards and a touchdown. Not bad by any means, and he was able to catch a couple passes. Did well. Fields went for 11 out of 17 passes. That's the another thing. Bill Lazor did a good job of not pressuring Fields to throw too much. When they needed to throw, he threw the ball. He only threw it 17 times in this game. And he was very efficient, 11 for 17, over 200 yards. Unfortunately, wasn't able to throw for a touchdown, and he did throw a pick, but he looked very, very good today in his first career win. Mooney had 5 catches, 125 yards. His average was 25 yards. Every catch was going to be at least 20 yards. Same thing with Allen Robinson, 6 catches, 63 yards. That's a 21-yard average. Like, these guys were actually making big passes, big pass plays, which is something you don't see from the Bears offense often. And Justin Fields was able to stretch the field. And that was something that was just a joy to watch because I felt like I hadn't seen that since 2018 when Trubisky was at his peak. Plus, the defense had 2 takeaways. Also, another thing that the defense in 2018 was super good at, getting takeaways. They had 4 takeaways in the game against Cincinnati. Did not force any takeaways against Cleveland, but they held them to a couple 4th down conversions, held them to a miss. And they get 2 here, 2 fumble recoveries from Mack and Nichols, the fumbleception and the strip sack. And the defense just shut the door. They looked pretty good. They also got 4 sacks. They had 5 last week. They got 4 this week. Smith, Quinn, Gibson, and Mack. Quinn gets another one. These guys have been playing great. Smith has been playing lights out at the linebacker position. I think that's his first sack of the year, but he's already got the pick 6, and he's just lights out in the linebacker spot. Mack's been getting sacks. Quinn's been getting sacks, and that's helped the rest of the defense play to its potential. 6 tackles for loss. Alec Ogletree had 12 tackles. Smith had 10. The defense played great. The only thing that was kind of bad about the defense, Akeem Hicks got injured in the second half. He wasn't going to return. Let's hope that he's also to be able to make a speedy recovery because we got a tough schedule coming up. So we've got Vegas on the road. That's our extra game, the 17th game against the random AFC opponent. We're playing the Raiders. And then after that, we're back home in Soldier Field and we're playing the Green Bay Packers. That is, the highlight of this. That's one of the highlights of the schedule. That is a must-win game. And right after that, we're playing Tampa Bay on the road. After that, we're at home for San Francisco. And Jimmy Garoppolo's looked pretty good. Who knows how he looks for these next couple of weeks. It could be Lance versus Fields. Following that, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road on Monday Night Football. And then the bye. So a very tough 5-game stretch coming up. Oh, by the way, after the bye, we play the Ravens at home. So here's to a big win. We're hoping that this road game into Allegiant Stadium, our first game in Allegiant Stadium. If not, it wasn't this game, we'd be waiting another 6 years. It would be us and the Lions that would be the last 2 teams to play their first game in Allegiant Stadium. But we get our first chance early. We're gifted it early with the 17th game added to the schedule. We're going to Allegiant Stadium, the new stadium. We've already played SoFi. Now let's go ahead and play Allegiant Stadium. So that is going to do it. Raiders-Chargers Monday night. That's going to be a fantastic game in SoFi Stadium. I cannot wait to watch that game. We're playing the Raiders next. They're 3-0 right now. Could be 4-0 pending on winning against the Chargers. That's going to do it for me in this one. Hit that like button if you really liked it. Hit that subscribe button if you really liked it. And I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.